So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what we're calling the Lower League Look, a new podcast that discusses League One, League Two, mainly League Two because that's kind of our backgrounds. League Two football weekly, hoping to go live soon, but at the minute, just recorded. I'm trying to work out because my camera's reversed. We've got the real GSJ over here, at the real GSJ. This is Grant. Grant is... accent doesn't match his team. He's a Hartlepool fan, but Grant, let you introduce yourself first.
This is where I absolutely make a royal dick of myself here, and I didn't expect you to go introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Grant.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
I'm the Scottish contingent in this lower league look. I don't really know what I'm doing here, to be honest with you, other than just talking nonsense about lower league football. Try to find out little bits and bobs, and yeah, a resident Hartlepool fan.
Nice. Then we've got... here, I've got to get used to that mirror. So down here we've got at Dizzy Up, the guy. He can explain that at some point because I still don't know what that means. But this is Chris, and Chris is a Bradford fan. And again, his accent doesn't match Bradford. But Chris, off you go.
No, it doesn't, does it? It probably helped. The fact that I'm actually from Leeds as well, and I'm a Bradford fan. Blame my dad for that one. So Dizzy Up guy is all about... It was a band called, well, there still is, a band called Goo Goo Dolls. They had an album called Dizzy Up the Girl. I've just always kept it. So Dizzy Up the Guy has always been my kind of title. But yeah, unfortunately for my sins, I've been a Bradford City fan for 25, 30 years now. But shit happens.
You don't look old enough.
We all need to support shit teams for a long time, don't we?
Yeah, man. What it's all about, I would say that, but actually that's fucking bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah. You've definitely got a better history than we have. You've at least done won trophies. We've never won a trophy in our history.
It's not something that I can remember. I know I'm older than I look, but I can't remember back in 1912, mate.
Excuse me. I'll have you know that you can remember the 2013 League Two playoff final against Northampton. We lifted a trophy that day, and we had a parade around the city centre.
I do,
with
and I was
trophy.
there. And I was
you were
there.
Oh, if you're talking playoff finals, we won the National League playoff final last year.
Yeah, but we're talking about professional football here, Grant.
Yeah, not leagues that bin men play in.
Yeah, so I think that sort of to give people an outline as to what we're going to do, we're just going to discuss week in, week out what's been going on in League One, League Two. As I say, it'll be mainly League Two, but we'll start to touch on League One, I think, as Bradford get closer to being in that league. So in the next couple of months when we're there, it'll be nice to look up and see what we've got to look forward to. Same with Grant. Grant will start discussing the National League and how that's going to look next year when Halifax take their place. And I think the big thing at the minute is transfers, isn't it? So we're in the transfer window. We're right in the middle of it. What day is it? Is it 20th today?
Yeah, 20th day recording.
20th day of recording, but it's not on release day, so you'll forget that. Transfers, teams buying players, loaning players, and I think more importantly, releasing players. This week, one of the biggest losses to League Two so far, Mike Fondop leaving Hartlepool.
Devastating, man.
Do you know what?
Before we get into that, Chris, I think it's important that we do one thing. And I think we should have, as respect, we should have a silence. And what I'm going to suggest is the silence we have is for the same amount of time, a second for every moment that Fondop had in a Hartlepool shirt. Okay, so we'll start that. Now, moving on.
These guys won't know this yet, but that Titanic music will be over that. Fondop.
Yes.
Do you know what, Grant? Please tell us about Fondop because the story you've told us, man. We are obsessed with him. So please tell us about Fondop and his interview as well.
I've become obsessed with Mike Fondop this season. He's brilliant. So he was one of Dave Challoner's signings. Fuck knows what Challoner saw in him. Some of these, folks seen him as a great manager. Some of these signings were shit, and Fondop was one of them. Fondop basically became a meme at Hartlepool. Apparently, looking back, he was a meme at other clubs he was at as well, Wrexham, and I think we were talking Burton Albion earlier on. He became a bit of a meme with them. He started off with his interview with us right at the very start. he says, "Oh yeah, what can we compare you to?" And he went, "Oh, some people have said I'm like Ronaldo, a big, powerful player. I like to get in and score goals." And he said, "When I was younger, people used to compare me to Messi. I was like a really skillful player." And he came on, and I think after a couple of games, Challoner, one of his interviews, he said something along the lines of every time he touches the ball, he gives it to the opposition. He's got a touch of an elephant. And if he keeps up this way, he'll not be playing professional football in a couple of years. I mean, the guy's brilliant. His moment against yourselves away, which led up to the own goal. I've never seen a player jump to get a ball and get smaller.
He literally, and the thing is, it happened right in front of us, didn't it? It happened right in front of us. We were about 8 or 9 foot away from it, and I mean, Fondop, he's 6'3", 6'4".
He's a big lad, really big lad.
He jumped to challenge. I think it was Elliot Watt. Who, Chris? How tall would you say Elliot Watt is?
It's difficult to say. Maybe 5'10".
Yeah, so Fondop's got a good 7-8 inch on him. And somehow in the air ended up shorter than Elliot Watt.
Got a good 7-8 inch on him. We can't prove it. There's no way of proving that.
That's the after. I mean, to be fair, that's the after hours podcast. Is that discussion?
I think we might have a title for the podcast.
Yeah, Fondop's got 7 or 8 inches on him. But he went from 6'4" to 5'8" in a jump.
But the thing is, he's been released, and Grant, what you were saying earlier on is that it sounds like he's going to Burton.
I don't know if he's going to Burton or if it's just the Burton fans just also going to announce Fondop, because everyone seems to be doing it just now.
Maybe that's what it is, but I mean, if he goes to Burton, what the actual fuck?
I can't see him getting. I can't see him going to another football league club. In all seriousness,
but can we just?
I can see him going back to the
Burton
national.
are in League One. Burton are a league above.
There's no way he's going. There's no way he's going to Burton. Burton fans,
unless it's just purely for the memes. It's just purely because the fans want him there, and it'll be good for morale, and that's all I can see.
He'll sell shirts. He will sell shirts.
I mean, they've got to give it, Chris. They've got to give him something to do. So if he ends up working in club shop, he's done well for himself. He'll sell shirts. Yeah, he will Monday to Friday in club shop from 9 till 5:30. But yeah, I mean, obviously we could literally just do a podcast all night on Fondop, and we would quite happily do it also. But we've got to let go until he signs for Bradford. And when he signs for Bradford...
And do you know what? If he does, Stu, I promise you, I will buy a shirt with Fondop on the back.
Yes.
I promise you, I will.
If he does it, you have to just get opportunities with him in that big daft chicken costume.
What are you talking about?
What big daft chicken costume? Yeah. I don't own a big daft chicken costume.
Let's remember this.
Yes. But on the Fondop situation, sticking with Hartlepool, you also lost another player this week, Grant. And I'd like to discuss with you, Grant, how did you find out about where your other player that you lost this week had gone?
Oh, well, I found this out from you, didn't I? Found out about
yes, he did.
Found out about Matty Daly. Honestly, I was shocked the way that it all turned out. Like, obviously, I heard that he'd been he'd been recalled by Huddersfield because of injuries, illness to the squad. And then, fair enough. And then the next thing, I get a message from you going, "What's Matty Daly like?" Went, he's all right. How have you interested in him? He went, "No, he's signed." Fucking hell.
This was 24 hours after he'd been recalled. Like, it was literally 24 hours after he'd left Hartlepool. It wasn't a few days, a week. It was just literally within hours. It was mad.
I mean, it was a mad situation.
Yeah, it was because obviously where Graham Lee's come out and he said we were told that he was going back to Huddersfield because he was injured and we wanted to look at him. And then within, 24 hours, he's at Bradford, which, I mean, what was it?
No, he did say he was injured. He said they had Huddersfield had injuries.
I thought he'd said that he was injured.
No, he said they had injuries. So there was a view fitting him back into the first team.
Which kind of makes it look a bit worse, because if it had been he's got a niggling injury, it would have made sense for them to recall him, have a look, send him to someone local so that he's close. If something needs to be done, he can still report back to Huddersfield daily. But for them to say, we've got injuries and we need him to cover, and then do that it's a strange one. But
yeah,
I mean,
the reports from Graham Lee, what Graham Lee said in the interview in our game against Carlisle, he said along the lines of it was injuries, he got called back. He then played a training game with Huddersfield, or played a game with them. Manager said he wasn't up to scratch. He was looking to send him back out on loan again. And then he had a chat with the Huddersfield manager, and he said he wasn't going to tell him the club, so he assumed he was going to go to a League One club because the quality of player that he is. And then,
which would make sense.
Next thing, he ends up at Bradford, which was, I think, a surprise to everyone.
I mean, I think he has gone to a League One club. The issue is, at the minute, we're just getting there.
We're
getting there. To me,
the playoffs.
To me, and obviously we don't know. No one knows the ins and outs. We don't know what's happened. We don't know why he's come to Bradford. But to me, that looks like, obviously, since Graham Lee's taken over at Hartlepool, he's got less game time, hasn't he? He's not been a first-team player week in, week out. And I think under Challoner, he was more of a starter.
Yeah, I think it's a place that we have a lot of players in. Hartlepool have a lot of centre midfielders in. And it's difficult to give them all as much game time. And I think we're favouring our own players that we have permanently rather than someone they've got on loan. So he's probably thinking that Matty Daly's not getting the game time that he needs. And that's probably part of the caveat of him going to Bradford, that he'll get more game time.
And I mean, we don't know what's going on, but Chris, what do you think on that? Because we also have a lot of competition in that, in midfield from wingers across the centre. Does that say to you that there's someone going? Do you think that the club, maybe not someone going, but do you think they're expecting something? Because I know they've said that they've had no concrete bids, they've had no actual interest in the players that obviously everyone expected. I think at the moment was Elliot Watt and Charles Vernon. They were the two that people thought were going to be gone by the end of January. We've still got them. Do you think that that's in Derek Adams' mind? Do you think it's in the club's mind?
No, I don't. I think that obviously the problem is for City is, we look at the XG, and to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of XG. I think it's absolute fucking bullshit. And we are, very much near the top of the table for the XG, and we do not score the goals. We do not have enough players in midfield that score goals. We don't. That is completely true. I think the fact that he's already got 7 goals for Hartlepool this year, I think that's league and cup, says to me that obviously he has that potential. I mean, you look at Walker, for instance. I know he was kind of playing more up front on Saturday, but you look at the quality of what he had. I think that we need that. It just looked a little bit different. I feel that these set of players that we've got currently are in a bit of a rut. I'll say it. I think we need to move on a few of them. So for me, I'm very happy. I'm very happy for to bring him in and see what he can do. I don't think anybody will move out. I don't. I'd be very disappointed if Vernon goes out. I really would. I think that he can still perform. I mean, let's be fair to, like, if he could shoot, if he was
he can.
He'd be a championship player. He'd be a championship player, though. He would. He's got everything else to his game, but he's fucking terrible sometimes in front of goal, and he is. And anyone wants to debate that with me, you know where I am. Send me a message. But I do think that we need more clinical finishers in the team. You've got Callum Cook who claims that he's going to score 10 goals a season and has got what? Has he got one? Has he got two? Elliot Watt, how many has he got? One or two? Vernon, how many has he got? I think he's probably got about four.
I think Vernon went through a period, didn't he? Though that this was the thing. Vernon went through a period in earlier this season when Angle was out injured. We were playing week in, week out with Vernon, sort of playing quite high. We had Gilead on the other side playing quite high, and we had Cook playing up alone. And 2 or 3 games in a row, Vernon was by far the best player on the pitch. He was scoring as well.
I'm not too sure on that one, to be honest with you, mate. I think he was, he was a good forward, but I tell you what, I mean, what was the game that he scored in? Was it the Mansfield game where he scored an absolute beauty from the edge of the area? But for me, Vernon he's not great in front of goal. So we need players that can. I mean, I hate to go back to the glory days, but you look at kind of players like Beagrie, you look back at Lawrence. They can score goals.
Chalk and cheese, isn't it? Though that you've got those 2 players were Premier League players, and I think we're in League 2, and we know where we are. We know that. I mean, as a club, people look at us and they go, "Oh, Bradford get 14,000 at home. Bradford get 15,000. They sell this many season tickets. They've got a massive ground. They should be higher." But those things, we are where we are because we deserve to be where we are.
Yeah, and we absolutely do, and I completely agree with that. And I've never for one, day said, all right, we should be, I mean, personally, we should be in the Championship. We should be, but we're not. We're not because the club isn't there and the football isn't there. However, I don't think that, and you're right, and I do get what you're saying about Vernon. I understand that. However, personally, I genuinely believe that Charles Vernon, if he could score goals, he would not be in League 2. He would not.
Obviously, the big rumour for you guys just now, I don't know what the status of it is just now, is Georgie Kelly.
He's gone to Rotherham.
Has he gone to Rotherham? Signed for Rotherham.
Apparently signed, sealed, delivered. And that, I think that was
I've not seen anything confirmed in the Rotherham socials, but is that what they're saying behind?
Yeah, I can't remember where I've read it. I'll find it now. But yeah, apparently so. He's signed. He's gone for Rotherham. Which, I mean, do you blame him?
Yeah, I do actually.
Really?
I'm going to be honest with this one. He's not going to be in the first team. He's going to have to work. He's going to have to work hard. If he'd have come to us, he would have been in the first team.
Yeah, he would. He would. But if he's got that self-belief, and he thinks he can do it, then he's going to want to try himself at the highest level. Because here's the thing. If he goes to Rotherham this season and he spends the next 6 months at Rotherham or however long, and it doesn't work, there's still going to be offers from League 2.
And they'll be ready. Yeah. They'll be ready to deal with a loan deal out on him. Obviously, not for the rest of the season. Once the window closes, you're looking at Rotherham, top 4 team just now, scored 45 this season.
Yeah,
you're tight net at the back. They conceded one of the fewest amount of goals in League 1.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll get in the first team at Rotherham. Personally, I think Rotherham are a fantastic unit this season.
And this is why I don't get it, Grant. It's like, honestly, seriously, I'm not just saying this because of Bradford. Why? The thing is, he could do all that at Bradford, prove himself, and then he could get the move to, the Championship or wherever.
It's a big risk. It's a big risk for a player coming from the Irish League over.
And it is, and it absolutely is. And at Rotherham, he's not going to get those opportunities, and he's going to get loaned out.
Just on that, guys. Just on that. So I read it earlier, and I don't know where I've read it because looking now, it maybe hasn't been confirmed. I think some people are saying that it has been confirmed, but Rotherham's managers basically come out. Paul Warne's come out and said that unless he sells a striker or releases a striker, he's not signing George Kelly.
I was going to say, because I've not seen it on their socials at all to show that it's confirmed.
Interesting.
I do think the League 2 clubs, as you said, Chris, a It's a big thing to move over from the Irish Premier League over and go straight into a League One team.
Yeah. And especially where you know he's not going to get a game. He's not going to get a game, is he?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So obviously on Twitter, it's the thing is that apparently he has signed. Their manager's saying that he hasn't, but apparently he has. And yeah, I mean, we'll see in the coming days. But I think the thing with him is we've done this before. I mean, we've signed from non-league, Chris. We've brought in players that were prolific in non-league and well, not the Irish leagues, but I mean, the standard is got to be
James Hansen.
I mean, James Hansen's a great example. It is a great example, but we've also probably signed a lot more that have failed than the ones that have succeeded. James Hansen succeeded. Michael Balding, was
it's a completely different. It's a completely different level, isn't it? You can bang in 20, 30, 40, 50 goals in your S01 league, if that's what it's still called now, but stepping up to come into your League One, to even the National League, taking that step up, it's a totally different game. A totally different game.
And I completely agree, Grant. And it's like we had Ross Hanna, who's got, at Matlock, he scored, was it 50 goals in the season?
In a season. It was unreal for them.
Yeah, and do you know what? He's a great guy, he's Ross. I got a lot of time for him. He's a very lovely guy, but it just didn't quite work at the club. But like you talk about Michael Balding, Mansfield was still in the League Two when we signed him after he scored 3 goals.
They were relegated, weren't they? Though they got relegated, and I think that's why.
Yeah, they did, but he was still in League Two, and he scored 21 goals that season. And obviously, part of the deal was to bring his brother, who never scored a league goal, and his
brother followed him everywhere, didn't he? It was like when you go to play out when you're younger and your mum goes, "Look, take your brother with you, get him out of my hair."
I'm going to blame that one on Julian Rhodes again because
Good luck to the guy though if he's going to Rotherham. I hope
he's
he's doing well. I hope
hope
his name pop up in the score sheets, and it'll be good to see because it'd be interesting to see Rotherham back up there. I think they're going to secure a playoff spot this season anyway, regardless.
They're a proper yo-yo team. They are a yo-yo team. They always go up and they always come back down. I mean,
they're a stepping stone.
They are pretty much
the Norwich, any team, any player.
Yeah, the Norwich of the Premiership are Rotherham. They really are.
Yeah. Just a point, Grant. Do you know where Rory Balding ended up?
Where?
Falkirk.
End up at Falkirk. There's another one.
Did he really?
He ended up at Falkirk. He went from us to Accrington. Then he went to Livingston. Scored 11 in 25 at Livingston.
Oh, wow.
Then went to Kilmarnock, Dundee, Falkirk, and then finished his career. I say finished his career. He finished his career 7 years ago at the age of 26 at Livingston.
Wow. My favourite thing about Livingston is what their stadium is lovingly known as, because it's the Tony Macaroni Arena, right? So everyone.
Chris is googling it. Chris is like, "No, that's not real."
So everyone up here calls it the Spaghetti Had. Oh my God. It's great. It's great. Oh. The designer outlet's right next door to it, so you can stand in the top floor of the car park of the designer outlet and you can watch the game from it.
Games.
Oh, what was the Scottish team that came from nowhere? Gretna. Yes, it was, wasn't it?
And then went bust, didn't they?
They'd done a Rushton and Diamonds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you remember Rushton and Diamonds?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They beat us. They beat us in the. Well, it wasn't the Johnson's Paint. It was before that. What was it called before that? It was the LDV Vans.
LDV Vans
Trophy. Oh, yeah.
Rushton and Diamonds beat us. I remember. I'm sure it was at home, and I remember it going to extra time and them scoring an absolute worldie.
I think you're right there. I think you are right.
Yeah, I remember doing the Championship Manager 01-02 save with Rushton and Diamonds. You started off with like 2.5 million.
Yeah.
And you were just unstoppable.
Do you know a random fact about Rushton and Diamonds, by the way? They had on the corner of their stadium, they had a Doc Martens shop.
Really?
Yeah, they had because the owner was the owner was the owner of Doc Martens, and they had on the corner. Please tell me if I'm wrong, anybody who listens in, but I'm pretty sure this is right, that they used to have a Doc Martens shop on the corner.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Well, it's like Leighton Orient. Leighton Orient have got university blocks in every corner.
Yeah,
and the people that live in those university blocks look out of the windows onto the pitch, and I mean that's great. So looking on transfers, back onto transfers. Obviously, we've spoke about Bradford. We've spoke about Hartlepool's outs. Who have you guys brought in? Have you brought anyone in, Grant?
We brought in a boy Carver. We brought him in from again lower leagues. Scored an absolute ton of goals. He's featured in the last 2 games for us. Taken off in the 60th minute, 70th minute for Cullen. Again, he's looked fairly sharp, but I think he's again just adjusting to the league, and it'll take a bit of time for him to bed in. But we can't afford someone to be bedding in just now. We need someone that's going to score goals.
Is that the only one you brought in?
Only one that I can think of that we've brought in.
Yeah. You guys have got.
We need to spend.
Lee Turnbull making your signings, haven't you, at the minute? He's your recruitment.
He's our recruitment guy. Apparently, we've got money that's been held over from Challoner. That was money that was held back, apparently, from Dave Challoner, because the chairman didn't believe his heart was in it for the long term, and money that's came in for a couple of players. So
how right he was as well.
Just got to see what happens.
Yeah,
interesting one I've been looking at transfer wise is Harry Vaughan, the boy from Oldham.
I was just reading that there because I saw what you'd sent. And
Harry Vaughan from Oldham had a bid set in for them, reportedly 200 grand from Burnley. They rejected it. They rejected it. And apparently Burnley are set to come in with an improved offer for him coming in. I don't know what it's going to be, but QPR are also sniffing about him as well.
Do you want to know why I don't think he'll go anywhere?
Surely Oldham can't say no to that.
They can. Do you want to know why they can? Because their owner's selling. Because he's selling.
I was going to say my Lucy, he's a cunt.
I mean,
no, it doesn't work like that, though, too. Because he's going to sell him, and then he'll sell the club. So that
but the money that he gets for him won't benefit him personally at all. So by keeping, essentially, he's not going to gain anything by selling that player. He's not going to gain anything by keeping that player, and essentially, it's an asset in that sense. It puts value on the club because whoever comes in, they've then got the option to sell. But it also puts him in a position where, from the fans' perspective, the fans that have turned on the owner, he's not going to be the owner that sells their best player. The new guys that come in are going to have to make a really tough decision. I don't think the benefit's there for him.
I mean, I still think that Bahambula is their best player.
I mean, best players, yes, but I mean, most valuable. It's like when you look at
Bahambula is. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, like, didn't he have a trial with Middlesbrough in the summer? Nearly went there. He's obviously had issues, but he loves the club. Apparently, that's his thing. But it'd be interesting to see what happens with both of those players, to be honest, over January. I would expect that both of them will leave the club in January. However, I understand what you're saying, and we'll see what goes, really.
I don't know what the contract status of them is, though. That's the thing for them.
Yeah.
Because if they've not got long left in the contract, surely they've got to cash in on them, because they'll lose them in the summer, because I can't see Oldham staying up.
But would you, as a Burnley, if you knew your player was out of contract in 6 months, would you drop 200, 250, 300 grand on a League Two player?
Yeah, of course, because they're Premiership. And the thing is that is pittance for them, isn't it? You know, and they've. Am I right in thinking that Burnley have just got new owners and they've got a fair bit of money apparently?
Just on his contract, he's contracted till the end of next season, and they've got Oldham have got the option for a further year. So they've potentially got 2.5 years.
They're in the driving seat then. So all they're going to do is they're going to pipe up the price, and to be fair to him, I hope so, because do you know what? I love Oldham. I do. I've got a lot of time for Oldham. I always remember him in the Premiership, Andy Ritchie. And what's happening to them at the moment is disgusting. It's really
awful.
is.
It's really bad to see. It's really bad to see. I support their fans and what they're doing 100%.
Yeah, I do. I support them all. You know, they're absolutely right. And, you know, you imagine it in your own club. You imagine what's going on for them guys. And it looks like, sadly, they are going to be National League next year.
And I think, you see, if they drop out of this league into National, you'll be the same situation that it was with us. I think they'll be there for a good 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I think they'll have to rebuild. They'll have to start again. And not start again the club, but they'll have to start from scratch and try and build something to get out of that league. They don't have the squad now that even if they maintain this entire squad, they don't have what it takes to bounce back up.
Yeah.
Look at Southend. Look at Southend.
Yeah. This is what I was going to say. Do you know, you've got a lot of like these league teams that are fucking struggling big time in the National League. I mean, look at Stockport, for instance. They went down and went down again. We were playing them in the fucking Championship in 1996, you know, and a lot of these clubs, I mean, I look at York City, for fuck's sake, like, you know, they're still in the Northern Premiership, nowhere near the conference yet. And these kind of clubs that it's just mismanagement. It's awful to see. I don't want to see, honestly, I genuinely would never want to see any club go out of business. Or just, you know, just get fucked up like that. It's horrible. It's
not good.
I mean, we've been there, haven't we? We've been there. Yeah. When I say been there, we've been mismanaged. You know, don't get me wrong. The mismanagement that we had sort of the first time round was possibly the best time in the club's history. It was a massive gamble that paid off for a season, and then sort of snowballed the second season. And I think, you know, the chairman made a lot of mistakes, and that, you know, that ultimately led to 2004, the first Save Our City appeal. I think then in 2006, we had it twice in 3 years.
We had the same. So we had, just when we were going down, we had this. So IOR sold us up. And this guy, Gary Coxall, came in. This young lad swinging his knob about from Essex came up, running the club, and the fans done basically their own investigation into it and found out that he was running everything from this Italian restaurant hairdressers thing called Luigi's, and he was just a crook. He said he owned a recruitment company in Dubai. You went onto his website and it was crap, and he was just a crook. And then they brought in big fat Dave Jones, you know, old Cardiff manager, he just came in and ruined the club. Ruined it. You've seen the famous interview when Jeff Stelling lost his rag on Soccer Saturday. Just said, "Look, leave, resign now." Everyone went in hard on Jeff for that, for calling out a manager. But you can't stand by and watch a club go through things like that. And I think the same way that the Oldham fans are doing. They can't stand by this.
No, and then they're not. And the good thing is they're not. And what they've been quite smart with is how they've done it. They've still been going to away games, but by boycotting home games, the club has minimal income. But what they've then done is they've invaded the pitch at most of their away games, which has cost the owner 10 grand. So that's what they've worked out. It costs the owner 10 grand in fines every time they do it. So every time they play away from home, their owner's got to pay. Essentially, their owner at the minute is having to pay 10 grand for his team to play away every game. They didn't invade our pitch like they didn't do it at ours. I think we were the first away game they had this season, wasn't it? At Oldham for us. I think it was our first home game, Chris, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We won 2-1.
But there's other clubs as well. I mean, like Stevenage. I saw something on Twitter. Now, I apologise if this isn't the complete truth, but I'm gonna talk about the story. So there was a fan who, I'm sure it was Stevenage. Was it Stevenage? Yeah. So apparently he'd been accused of being involved in a fracas. And the club banned him and 2 or 3 other fans, and Stevenage as well. That it sounds like they're having a shit time as well. And you know, sometimes it's easy for us guys. You know, I think that we're in, you know, City. I'm not going to comment on the ownership. because I won't. But it's very difficult for a lot of clubs, and this is where again, where the EFL has to pick up on this, because there is even with the fit and proper ownership thing, it's not fucking happening, is it? Because we are seeing this far too much. There should be no reason why some guy who is in a fucking Italian shop is owning a football club. Why are they not doing that? Why are they not looking after football clubs?
By the way, speaking of Stevenage, what result for them on Tuesday?
I can't remember. What was it? What did they do?
They beat Crawley 2-1.
Nice.
A cracking result for them. Result for them.
It's a phenomenal results. And I think just before we move off of clubs that have gone into bad times, one bit of sort of, I suppose, light on those situations is, have you all heard the news about Bury?
No.
So obviously Bury were expelled from the league. They went out of business. They've actually, Bury MBC, which is I think the club that was set up by the fans, they've agreed a deal and they've bought back Gig Lane.
Fantastic.
So they've bought the ground. Bought the ground back.
Steve Dale was the worst owner of the lot.
Yeah.
He was the worst.
Horrific.
So essentially, December, the government has a community ownership fund, and the government put up 1 million, and then the Bury MNC. That'll be Bury Council MBC. It's the council. They put up 450 grand. So 1.5 million has been put up by the government, by the council. They own Gig Lane again. Yeah, we could talk about councils, Chris, because we've had it with Bradford. We're having two.
Let's not.
Well, no, I think it's important to look at having two, obviously different sports, but having two successful-ish clubs in different sports in Bradford. We had Bradford Bulls, we had Bradford City. Obviously, Bradford Bulls now are, I wouldn't say a successful rugby league team. They're not. They've massively declined. But at the time, because they were in the top league, the council gave them everything. I think they bought the ground for them when they had troubles, whereas we went into two administrations and they didn't want anything to do with us until we got to that playoff final or the cup final under Parkinson. And all of a sudden they were like, have a ceremony on City Hall steps and this and the other. And I still to this day, obviously I know that no one who's at the club now was involved in that back then, but I still to this day think the club should have just gone, nah, get gone.
Who is it that's got the ownership of Gig Lane? Is it the fans or is it the council and they're giving it to them as a peppercorn and it is like a peppercorn rent?
So let's have a look. The club. So they're called Bury Established 1885. They're called EST 1885. The club.
So that's the Phoenix Club.
Yes, so they've been given exclusivity to buy back both the club and Gig Lane. So they actually don't just own Gig Lane; they own Bury and all its history.
You know what?
Is this going the same? Is this going the same way that Darlington have went?
Yes, and Rangers essentially
Rangers
as well.
And Darlington are the same because, as much as every Celtic fan hates it, Rangers are the same club.
Mate, so are we. It's the same as what happened to us. The company that ran Bradford City back then is no more. It's a dissolved company. It's a new company. We are the same. I think we are. But obviously, we're established 1903, but the company behind it is either 2004 or 2007. It's one or the other. But looking here. But the good thing is the administrators wouldn't speak to anybody else other than 1885. They gave full
brilliant.
Right.
Do you know what? Can I just say that's fucking ace? Because you know what? The Bury fans have gone through so much shit, and they've lost their club because of mismanagement, not because of the fact that they support their team. And I tell you what, this is going to be a start. And I tell you what, I can't wait. I hope Bury will be back up because what? They deserve it. The fans deserve it. And
proper
I'm
team.
so glad they've got Gig Lane back. I really am.
So the deal's set to be complete this month, fully completed. All the money's been approved. Everything's there. There's nothing. There's not even no one. If I personally had 10 million now and went to the administrator and said, I'll give you 10 million, they've got a contract that states that only, 1885 have got the rights to buy the club. So they can't touch it. So it's going through. And whatever league they're in, I don't know. They start, I think, next season, don't they? Don't they start again next season? Or is it this season that they've
No,
started
they're
again?
already in because they played.
Oh, they have.
Stevenage.
I've watched highlights. Yeah,
Mhm.
I've watched highlights.
I think they're top of the table. I want to say I'm probably completely wrong, but they've got is it Tom Greaves? I want to say that used to play for FC Man United. I think Tom Greaves is playing for him, but I think they're smashing a fair few teams. And do you know what? I think Steaton, didn't they get something like nearly 1,000 fans? And Steaton is basically a town just outside of Skipton, really.
It's essentially part of Bradford theoretically, isn't it? But it's not.
It's just on the outskirts, but it's kind of probably more Craven, I think.
Has it got a Bradford postcode? I think that's the thing. The
don't think
postcodes
it
go
has.
so far.
No, I don't think it does. Yeah, they played against Bury and it went really well. So there's a big earner for Steaton, and also their fans are just going along to all the games. It's fantastic, and yeah, I'll just end it with I really hope the best for them. They deserve it. I mean, you imagine for any of us what our team going out of business would be like.
Oh, it'd be awful.
Fucking shit. So good luck to Bury.
It's not good. Yeah,
Brilliant. No, good news. I like that.
It looks like I'm actually just reading their website now, and it looks like they're not just taking the history. It looks like they're taking the club full as it is. So they're essentially going from, they're not going to be established 1885. They are going to move and become Bury exactly as they were when they were expelled from the league. So it's like a continuation. And the good thing is, you look at it now, and it doesn't say that they're a former or they were an English Football League club. It says that Bury. Well, it says now a dormant. So it's essentially saying they're there, they're just asleep, waiting to be woken up, and it's happening.
I think that. Do you know what? I think that sums everything up today, innit? That we've heard that news. And I'll tell you what, I'm really, really chuffed for Bury. They deserve that. Any Bury fans out there, listen, there's rivalries, we know that, but I tell you what, I fucking miss going to Gig Lane. Get yourself back up there, and I don't want any club to go under because of the fans. I don't. It must be the most horrific thing to know that your team that you support, that you go watch every week, have gone out of existence. And fucking awful, man.
I mean, if I did have to pick a club to test it on, it would be Leeds or Huddersfield. I'm just saying.
I still would, mate. You know what?
I'm joking. Yeah, you'd go Huddersfield right now.
Let's face it, Leeds already did that anyway in the 1920s when they were Leeds City and they were done for financial irregularities. So they've already been done for it. And
I weren't there, mate. I was busy that day.
Insert transition.
Yeah. Just one thing I want to touch while we're on the Leeds point, Chris, because you know who this guy is. We've got a history with this guy. He played against us the last time we played Leeds when they went 1-0 up in the 83rd minute. I think it was thanks to his goal. Matt Smith. Matt Smith.
No, did Matt Smith get sent off?
No, I'm pretty sure it was either Wood or Smith that scored for them.
It was Billy Sharp. It was Billy Sharp who scored.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I promise you.
If I'm wrong, I apologise.
I'll tell you. It was either Smith or Wood, but essentially, no, it was Smith. 82nd minute. It was Matt Smith. He scored against us. 82nd minute, and then in the 84th minute, Billy not equalised, and in the 86th minute, James Hansen won it for us.
Yeah, we need to mention that, don't we? We do
need to mention that. But what we also need to mention is he's just signed for Salford.
Has he?
Ooh. Yes.
Now, how many strikers are they going to have?
Mate. I mean, they've got one that's currently sitting out a 3-match ban, haven't they?
Yeah, but they literally, they've got him. They've got the guy. I've forgotten his name. He got sent off. They had Tom Elliott. They've got the guy who used to play for us from QPR. What was his name again? Fuck's sake.
Do you want a list of the strikers? Are you ready for this? Are you ready?
Yeah, go on.
Right. Okay. Here we go. Salford City. Let's have a look. Current players. Are you ready? First team squad. Forwards. We have got Tom Elliott, Ashley Hunter,
Absolutely.
Matt Smith. Connor I hate names with muck. I hate names with muck in
Should
it.
have come to us. You know, we wanted him before Rowe, by the way. We wanted him before Rowe. Anyway, carry on.
Well, I mean, that worked out, didn't it? Then they've got Armido, another him who got sent off on Saturday. No, it's not.
Yeah,
It's
Tom
not.
Brandon that got sent off, wasn't it?
No, Thomas Asante.
Thomas is
Brandon Thomas Asante.
You know what? He was brilliant. He was brilliant.
He was phenomenal. I was worried about right up until that point where he got sent off. I was very, very worried.
He was quality.
They've also got why can't they just sign players that are just like called Dave Jackson and stuff like that? Why have they got to go Mamadou Toure? Why do you have to make me say that?
Who's the guy who played for us and he's gone to them and nearly scored an equaliser 1-on-1?
What, on Saturday?
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they've got loads of strikers on their books. They're not exactly firing on all cylinders, are they?
Gary Bowyer. Boring.
I mean, he does play very boring football. Does Gary Bowyer as across? You're talking about Josh Morris, by the way.
No, I'm not talking about Josh Morris. I'm talking about the guy who came on in the second half, about 85th minute.
As a forward.
Yes. He had a one-on-one opportunity.
I can't see it. Not that's come on as a.
Do you know what?
I want to touch on red cards. You were saying red cards. The boy for Salford gets sent off against you. Scored, then gets sent off.
Yeah,
horrific. It can't be as good as the sending off for Lucas Kovalan.
Do you know what? Shall I find it and screen on screen it so we can
screen on screen this.
Ote.
Oh yeah, that's the one I couldn't say. Ote.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came on loan to us. Yes, sorry.
Anyway, carry on, Grant. Carry on.
Let's get this view of Lucas Kovalan. This sending off. I don't know if he's a Brazilian keeper. Came up from Torquay last season. Scored.
Oh yes,
scored in the last. Scored in the last minute in the playoff final.
He did,
and was giving it Billy Big Bollocks and goals for the penalty shootout. We all know how that finished. I won't go too much into that. But then he got a deal at Port Vale. First game of the season. I think it was the first game of the season. Sent off.
I mean, just a point, if you do score as a goalkeeper, you are going to milk it and give it Billy Big Bollocks.
Oh, I mean, it was some header.
I remember you in that game. And so Chris, to give you some context, like we've got a group chat with there's me. There's three English people in this group, and everyone else is Scottish. And Grant was with his dad watching the game, and we were all in a live group call, but Grant wouldn't join. And we were all watching it, and we were buzzing. We wanted Hartlepool to come up, and when that goal went in, we were all like, "Oh, this is brilliant!" Because we were just like, we can imagine him on the floor at this very moment. And the thing is, I know you're on the floor. I know you're on the floor, Grant, because your mum sent me a video of you on the floor.
Oh, aye.
It was done.
I mean, the header was phenomenal that he scored. It was very similar to the one that Alisson scored for Liverpool. The man's a lunatic. Here we go. There we go. Look at it.
Oh, what the hell? He doesn't even need to do that, does he? Oh my God.
Let's just try and catch that on.
Oh my God. He's literally catching the ball and he jumps.
And he puts his foot. That is 100. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So he got sent off for that then, yeah?
Yeah, straight red.
How he should.
There's no doubt in his ability as a keeper. I think he's a great keeper. But
he is. He was for Torquay. He took to Torquay fans. They loved him last year. They said that he came from nowhere. And he was phenomenal.
And there's no. I can see why Darryl Clark took him over. But can you keep a keeper like that?
Yes.
Because he's second keeper. It's his second red this season. He's going to get. Was that a 3-match ban that he's going to get for it now?
But Grant, I always like a goalkeeper who's a bit, who is like that. I know he's kind of, but I just find them there.
Thing is, that's not going to be his last red card for them.
No, true. But
two straight reds in a season for a goalkeeper. You want a goalkeeper who's going to be there, be consistent all the time.
The thing with it is, and here's my point, right? All I think he was doing, he's a Port Vale player, and he thought, I'm going to look back through Port Vale's goalkeepers and see what they did. And he was just trying to emulate Stuart Tomlinson. And Stuart Tomlinson was a Port Vale goalkeeper who went on and signed for the WWE as a wrestler. Unfortunately, when he typed in Stuart Tomlinson on YouTube, the wrong clips came up. He didn't type in Stuart Tomlinson football. He just, and I can make an excuse for him, and I think that's what it's got to be. But yeah, I mean, that's fucking incredible. But just on that point, one thing I want to talk about with Matt Smith, the reason I sort of mentioned it is Salford fans are buzzing, which you're going to be when you look at it on paper.
Yeah, he's a great man up front. He is.
Mate, 5 goals in 80 games.
Really?
He scored 5 in his last 80 games, apparently.
Wow.
It changes everything, doesn't it? It changes everything. It does change everything if that's correct. And I mean,
they do need a tall man up front. I think if obviously, again, I've forgotten his name. He got sent off on Saturday. If they've ever, because Hunter was just crying about everything. I mean, he was a proper whinger, wasn't he? I think if they have a tall man up front with the guy who got sent off, I think they'll do all right.
I know the perfect guy.
I know the perfect guy as well.
Free agent. He's a free agent right now.
Oh yes! Oh yes!
Yes. Essentially, in the last, he's played 50 games for Millwall in the Championship in the last 2 seasons and scored 4 goals.
Can I ask, this player that Grant's talking about, can I ask 2 questions? 1, do people think he's like Messi?
People do think he's like Messi.
2, do people think he's like Ronaldo?
He thinks he's like Ronaldo.
So there we go. Salford City are going after Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Magic Mike Fondop.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
What?
Speaking of wondrous strikers, Jermaine Defoe.
That's that. I can't see.
No.
He's going to be champion.
He's going to be apparently Sunderland are after him till the end of the season.
I can see that.
He said he wants to play in front of a crowd again before he retires. So I can only see if a deal's done with Jermaine Defoe being it to the end of the season and a club that he's got an affinity with, and I think it'll be Sunderland.
I thought you were going to say Hartlepool.
I'd love it, but I couldn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think anyone would love it. It's the same as, I don't know if you saw this, Chris, but the rumours that were going around the last few days were us being in talks with Lee Griffiths.
Don't want him. You don't want him.
No, mate, I don't believe so. I don't believe that. I'm just saying, obviously, we're here to talk about things that people are reporting, people are saying.
What you're doing is you're looking on Facebook where...
That's what we're here to do.
Ridiculous comment. Seriously, Lee Griffiths.
Right, so do you know where the entire script for tonight's podcast has come from? I got it straight off of Nick Kitchen's Twitter page.
Yeah, well...
if we're going by what's said in like the League Two Facebook pages, all we'd be talking about is away attendances, wouldn't we? Home attendances.
Grant.
It was funny. There was a boy, I can't remember the name of him, in the League Two football group. He put up the other day. He went, "Right, lads, I'm fed up. Everyone all they talk about on this group is attendances." He says, "So I'm leaving the group." So he just made this big song and dance announcement about leaving the League Two group. So
did you not see my response to him? Did you not see my response?
What team did he support?
He didn't even tell us, but I just wrote underneath, "I'll put, mate, this ain't an airport. You don't have to announce your departures." just left him to it.
I was hoping he stayed, and I took a picture at our game against Carlisle. Me taking that picture was probably the most entertaining thing that happened at it. Us taking 613, and I was going to put it up, but he's left the group.
So you essentially took less on a Tuesday night to Carlisle, which Carlisle see you as their rivals. You brought more to Bradford.
Yeah. But
on away attendances, Rochdale this Saturday, Chris. 2,500 sold.
Yeah, do you know what? We always follow well.
We love a day out at Rochdale as well.
Was it someone on Twitter who put unpopular opinion? Bradford City are not the biggest team in League Two, and I mean, let's face it, as shit as we are the biggest club in League Two. There is no doubt about that.
I can't disagree with that, to be fair.
Yeah.
When you look at a team that's top, Forest Green have about 20 fans going.
Yeah.
Because everyone else.
That's so just
the amount of vegans in the UK.
Which, yeah, that's it. And the last thing I think, sort of before we wrap this up, Forest Green, you just mentioned them. And I think if we're talking about a League Two podcast, we've got to at least touch on Forest Green. I don't like them. I'll be honest, I don't like Forest Green. But respect to them, what they're doing in the league. At what stage in this season do you look at Forest Green and you go, right, they're up this year? Because for me...
Done for me.
Is it done for you? Because for me, it's been a case of arguing week in, week out, trying to find a reason.
Done for me. Yeah. They're going up. Are they
winning the league, though?
Yes.
I think so. 100%.
I mean,
the only thing for me that will stop them winning the league, which might be starting to happen now, is if Tranmere find their shooting boots.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is happening. I think they won 4-0 last week. Tranmere. Do you know what game? And what game was it that turned Tranmere's fortunes around, Chris?
Oh,
we were there.
Tranmere, looking at the table right now, they've only conceded 15, but they've only scored 27. They're sitting second in 45 points. Yeah. If they'd been shooting, they would have been absolutely cruising this season. But Forest Green have been flying. They've been untouchable this season. And surprisingly up there is Sutton.
Do you know what? Again, it's that National League thing. I genuinely believe that every team that comes up from the National League for the next, God knows how many years, will potentially go back up. There's so much money in the National League now. You know,
it's ridiculous.
And the difference in quality is not massive either. The National League's quality is, for a lot of teams, has got better.
And I think
you look at some of the teams. You look at some of the teams that are in there, and there's teams like Kings Lynn and Dover who will play with a couple of bin men in their team, a boxer playing at centre back. But then you've got your teams like your Chesterfields, your Stockports, your Wrexhams, who are just pumping money in.
Yeah.
But
they're screwed if they don't go up this year because financial fair play comes in there.
I'm not sure that. Yeah, maybe.
So not because they'll essentially there's no reason that they'll be screwed other than financial fair play. Stockport can't justify what they've done. Chesterfield can't.
Do you know what? Unpopular opinion. I think the National League is better than League Two.
I think National League's got more money in it than League Two. But I wouldn't.
That's why I believe.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, Grant's been there. He's we're lucky enough to not be there. But
the National League shit.
I'd be interested to see what the viewers think to this and whether they think that the National League quality is better than League Two.
It's horrific.
We'll let people feed that back, and we can talk about that next week. And so, right, we'll wrap it up. Last thing, Grant, this weekend. Going into this weekend. Yes. I believe you have got Stevenage this week. Let's have a look.
Must win.
Is it must win for you?
I think this weekend, for us to see the game against Carlisle on Tuesday as a success, as a point away from home, I think we have to win this weekend.
You'll have been the happier team out of them. What score do you think it's going to be?
1-0.
But you haven't got Fondop, so we'll see how that comes out.
I'm going to go 1-0.
Otherwise, it'd be 3-0.
It'd be 3-0. Chris, I mean, it's safe to say, second half Saturday, we were unplayable at parts of that game.
Yeah.
Going into this weekend, we've got Rochdale. You know, we've said we like going to Rochdale away. What do you think?
What? I'm going to be positive with this. I was going to say that I thought we were going to lose. I'm going to say that we usually score quite a few goals at Rochdale. I'm going to go with 3-1.
And does Walker get his first goal for us that game?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because he is ending point for everyone who's in the League Two watching this who doesn't know yet. He's a championship player who's coming for every single League Two club the back end of this season. So, guys, I think that's a perfect point to wrap it up. We'll finish as we started with, again, a tribute to Mike Fondop, a silence, a second for every moment of his career at Hartlepool that he achieved. Starting from now. Join us next week, guys. See you later.